It is Dr. Special guest today, Troy Polito, who is from The Troy Show. And boring LinkedIn guy. What a great title. So there can be a lot of boring things, but not as far. Dr. Digital Podcast, the only podcast is dedicated to CEOs and business owners who want to grow. What, of course, that includes video as well. And we got Troy here today to tell us all. Troy, good to see you today.
Nice to see you. I think I was playing the live on this and it was repeating the sound, but I'm doing awesome today. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, gosh. So this is an interesting area naturally. So the first question everybody wants to ask, so tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get started in this particular field in life?
Oh my goodness, you're helping people on LinkedIn. Well, in my previous life, I was a programmer, and we did a lot of gamification. So we did Coca-Cola Enterprises before they did the update. When Coca-Cola merged with the bottling company, we did Xbox mobile apps, Harry Potter virtual worlds, a lot of virtual worlds, multi-user type stuff, a lot of apps and things. And I loved it. It was great. And we were working with a lot of the agencies here in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was fantastic. I had a nice little office, small, super group, the programmer and designer together, and it was going great until it didn't, and it crashed.
Okay.
It like crashed hard, right? And I was figuring out, so what the heck is going on? Because all the work that we're getting was through the agencies. And we realized that the agencies no longer were getting this work. And so instead of us being their best friend, we ended up being their worst enemy because the quality of work we did was much higher than what they could provide. And so these large Fortune companies, they took the teams and brought them in-house because they're a little more corporate. IBM, all these different companies that came here for the tax break. They didn't need all this creative stuff. They wanted control. And so they ate up these companies, and no one was getting work. And I ran into a buddy, and he did very similar work. His name was Fed. He was in Argentina moving to New York. And I said, how are you bringing all this work in? My stuff is much better than yours, right? I was razzing him, of course. And he says, LinkedIn. I'm like, what? That resume place, LinkedIn? Yeah. He says, yeah. I said, I just build a relationship over time, and I do small projects, and then they end up being big projects, and the clients, really like it. I'm thinking, I said, well, why can't I get business on LinkedIn, right? And I realized why, because he is much more personable than I was. He is a very likable person. He communicates very well, and he's very professional. And I have a type traits on my personality. And I realized I was just terrible at it because I'm so direct. And so I realized that, you know what? It's like I'm a terrible dater, and it's true. I was a terrible dater in real life. So I was taking the approach that a lot of people take, that if you see a beautiful woman,
sure,
you walk up to her, and you say, I find you very beautiful. I want to have 2 babies with you, right?
Something subtle.
Yeah. And so that's what people are doing on LinkedIn. And so since I'm a software developer and a software architect, I break down systems. I run audits and things like that. And I created a system for dating called Slow Dating for Business. And we had to figure out the psychology of how people think, what is appropriate and what's not. And we found out that, well, at the end of the day, people get on LinkedIn, these high value services, they generate business by helping others. So business is a side effect of helping others, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to think about that. So when you do have a meeting with someone, well, what should it be talked? What should you talk about? Well, to be honest, I don't talk about anything. I sit on the meeting, I listen to them because I'm pretty well known in the LinkedIn space. So they're reaching out to me for something. But I only have one goal. It's not to help their company, and it's not to help, their team. It's to help them specifically, that individual. How can I lessen or solve that pain? And I'm connected. I got, I don't know, 24,000 connections or something like that on LinkedIn. And I know a lot of people in different industries. And if I can't solve it, I might know someone who can.
You know somebody.
And it's not about me
Yeah.
making money at all. It's just about, again, me fixing that immediate pain. And sometimes they'll come to me and they think it's a LinkedIn problem. It may be a copywriter issue. It may be an email deliverability issue. People don't realize that most email, well, not most, but 40% of email, a lot of them don't get delivered properly. So if you're running a contract or a contract to sign and it never gets delivered, well, the client doesn't know it's an email issue. It's a you issue, So figuring out what those things are is really important. So I usually give advice saying, do this, and this will probably ease your pain. And they'll go back, and if they're serious about their business, they'll go look at it, and they'll do as I say, and they'll stop. They'll look to the left, and they'll look to the right, and say, he was right, but there's 20 other things I'm looking at. Only Troy can fix, and they'll hire me. Or they'll send a recommendation. 50% of your business should be, especially on LinkedIn, these high value services are recommendations, And the third possibility is not a bad thing either. If you help someone and they're happy and you're happy and you earn 15 minutes of your life, you've done your good deed for the week, and helping people actually makes you feel better. So it's kind of a win-win situation. People say, oh, you're so kind because you're helping all these people. Well, even if I wasn't kind, I would still help them because it's just good business to do that, right? And so that's my thought process in helping someone, and I'm not worried about the reward, And so in my business, and every business is different, I need one client a month to be profitable because one client will come back monthly. So I charge X amount per month, and that compounds. So I rebranded. I released a lot of clients that weren't a good fit, and I'm only picking on clients that are a good fit. And within a few months, you get right back where you are, and you do well. I think you're watching the LinkedIn Live right now as well. Do you have that down there? I heard a little extra noise there.
Yeah. That's what it is. So if you have done a lot of gaming is really cool, but I mean, what sort of changes have you seen, or maybe on LinkedIn too? How is experience?
Well, LinkedIn is what you call pragmatic. The goal of LinkedIn's never changed, right? People don't realize this. All these changes, well, they change it to achieve their goal, right? Their goal is for people to actually network with each other, to actually provide stories, to provide experiences with individuals within the kind of the business realm. The flavor of those experiences have changed quite a bit, but it is a social platform. And so what they don't want you to do is they don't want you to spam, right? And so they created things like the creator mode to offer these tidbits like LinkedIn Live and a lot of other features in there. People have ability to follow you instead of always connect with you because they can see your content without blasting your DM and that sort of thing. And so they designed it. They reduced the number of invites to I think 100 a week. But are you really going to network with 100 people a week? Like truly network?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, anything beyond that is a little spammy, And they also have built-in spam filters and things like that. So they want to slow stuff down, and they actually want people to communicate. And so when someone comes by and immediately pitches a meeting, right? This is kind of frowned on, and it's actually a good thing because if you're immediately going to pitch a meeting, I
Yeah.
don't know you from Adam. You're going to sell me if you do a bulleted point of list of all the things that you do, you're instantly selling. So I always say take a softer approach. It forces people to communicate, which is a great thing. And there's over 800 million people on LinkedIn. I mean, do you need all of them? I mean, half of them are active daily. It's insane. So
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people don't know um what is not spam. That's all they know. And so if you force them to build some of these better techniques, they end up being better communicators.
Mhm. Growth areas on LinkedIn, because if the focus is the same and continues in one direction, say, are things that are really hot on LinkedIn currently.
Well, it really depends on what your area of focus is. For me, B2B on small to medium sized businesses are really good. And a lot of the growth that I'm seeing right now are in the coaching, consultation, facilitation type of areas. So during COVID, we want to
Mm-hmm.
get out, we want to communicate, but we're afraid to kind of, do too much for obvious reasons. And people need this is time for people to reevaluate themselves, how to self-improve and just become better versions of themselves. And this could be for themselves, for their business. um, and each coach, I'm a LinkedIn coach, right? Well, every coach has
Yeah.
coaches, and people don't realize is, well, you're a coach, why do you have a coach? You seem to be really good in shape. I said, well, I'm pretty good shape, but that's not the point. The point is, how do I become better at what I
Better.
do? And a lot of it's
Yeah.
mental, a lot of it's simple things that I never thought. Like I pay X amount a month for a life coach that deals with executives, you know, and it could be like, what's the most important thing to
Okay.
me? I said, sleep. Like I gotta sleep,
Sure.
and I have to make
Yeah.
X amount of money. You have other personal things like dating or whatever it is, and a lot of those things are date or mental processes, and then actually hard, repeatable task. For example, I
Mm.
realized if I drink caffeine after 3, I'm gonna be up all night. I didn't think about that. I didn't realize caffeine. Separate your phone literally 10 feet away.
Yes.
Put it on silent
For
mode after
sure.
9 p.m. You know, do a walk early in the morning. I do a
Mm.
45-minute walk. I'm a little
Yeah.
older now. I hit over 50, and I weigh more than I should. I may be in good shape, but I got like 10 pounds in there, and working out's not going to do it. I said, well, the hour walk in the morning does it early in the morning. Separation and learning how to separate. So all those areas kind of translate into a really positive market on LinkedIn. People want to improve their businesses. They want to improve their processes. They want to get out of the hustler mode. A lot of these very solopreneurs are in hustler mode. That means they are
Yeah.
having so many hats. They're doing this. They're doing the taxes. They're the salesperson. They're the designer or whatever it is that they do.
Yeah.
You can be really good. I was one of the top designers in Atlanta a few years in a row. I got awards and all this other stuff. But do you think I'm going to compete with someone half my age and does it 60 hours a week? No, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It would be more of a pride thing. I want to make sure it gets done. I want to make sure it gets done with a high level of quality. I don't want to burn my time on tasks that is not my primary way of doing stuff. And so with my clients, I help them all sorts of ways. They said, you know what? What do I need to make this business grow? I said, well, it looks like you have too many hats, and some of these tasks are
Mm.
repeatable. And so it's an opportunity for business on LinkedIn to create like a service operating procedures, train their VAs, create a system where they don't have to do that stuff and they can shine where they need to shine within their business in order to excel past the ceilings.
There probably isn't, there's no standard business, but let me ask you this: we recommend business owners to think about when it comes to a video present, or what should business owners be thinking about if they haven't used it or they have grow on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so there's different ways to generate conversations on LinkedIn. There's the direct message, there's posts, there's events. Events kind of fall in the line of large networking. So those are really the three different paths:
Okay.
events, networking, inline networking, in-person networking, online, communication through their posts, other people's posts, and then direct
Yeah.
communication. So if I were a business owner, and I am, I want people to know who I am as a person,
Hmm.
because if they see that person, they can relate to you. So all this corporate stuff for the small, medium-sized businesses, they don't work as well unless they're already established and they're going a certain path. But for people that are upcoming, they need to make sure that people are comfortable in working with them. So 80% of the decisions is just based if they like you or not. It's not really your services. Your services are just
Yeah.
there, and they say, "Okay, I trust him. He seems like he's doing great work.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about.
Relationship.
I'll work with him." So there's a litmus
Yeah.
test. Um, and you have to get past that litmus test where uh, during these COVID times, could I go out and have a beer with you? Could I go in a
Hmm.
high-end restaurant? And I drink liquor, I don't drink beer, but you get what I'm saying, right? Would I spend
Sure.
my
Sure.
time with you?
Yes.
Because when we're drinking, we're talking, we
Hmm.
tell each other detailed
Sure.
information that may not be business related. It's more on a one-on-one level. If you can get past
Yeah.
an idea, you don't literally have to take them to a bar, but at that concept and that idea, like this guy I can trust, then conversions it makes it a lot easier. Even if you're not perfect, I stutter. I'm not the best speaker, but I'm honest. I'm real. I tell on my profile. My profile says a lot of stuff. I was in the United States Army. I'm a single father.
Hmm.
I was a software engineer. Um, those things are relatable traits to other people. When they look at it and say,
Hmm.
"Oh, I see what he's doing." And when I'm providing content, it's all about value and not value to me. So if you're using the content route, you have to provide information that not only shows that you are an authority, but you can actually talk to them at their level. You know, uh, so I have a lot of tips and tricks on how to do things, but I also have personal posts. You know, so I have a pattern of posts. My Mondays are typically keep it real Mondays. There's something that's happened to me, good or bad, and how did I solve that as a problem?
Okay.
This was an obstacle for me, and how did I overcome it, or how did I help the client overcome it? And it's really a more of a deeper thought process. Like, oh, I see what he's doing. I did a post the other week, was and it was something that happened to me that I didn't think would happen, and it was my
Oh,
fault. And I
okay.
have to show that vulnerability that, you know what? I chose to take that client on. I completed the work, and all of a sudden he was very
Yeah.
happy, and then he got really nasty. And I
Oh,
realized he was having financial issues and may or may have not anything to do with me, but I'm pretty professional, but I'm also very direct, you know. And I said, well, what happened here? I said, you know what?
yeah.
I screwed up. I screwed up because my first invoice is an invoice and not a signed agreement. And I should have had a signed agreement versus the invoice. The invoice lays everything out and stuff like that, but there's nothing. When someone actually signs something, the act of
Yeah.
signing is a big deal. So typically on my larger programs, my flagship programs, I do set up. I do a lot of work prior, and then we have a monthly, and the monthly is the signed agreement, right? And this is just consulting.
Okay.
Well, I learned my lesson. Rewrite your agreements to cover all those areas and have them sign. Even if they pay, hold off on the work until they sign. If they don't want to sign,
Mm.
give back the money, right? And so that was a lesson learned, and it allowed me to just be honest about it. Like, well, maybe I didn't do anything malicious, but there's still some faults in what I'm doing, and this is how I improve the process. My Fridays are thankfulness. You know, so I think back on the last week. I think back about this family, friends, and then how I can recharge myself for the following
Mm.
week. And the middle stuff are tips and tricks and just great information. So if these business owners really want to kind of shine, um, you know, be a little vulnerable. I would
Okay.
say show the scars, but don't show the wounds. And there's a difference, right? There's things that you just
Yeah.
don't want to
Oh,
put
sure.
out there. My mother just died. My brother died, and I have a crack cocaine habit. You don't want to put it. It's just, that's showing
Too
the
much
wound.
information.
Yeah, new little TMI. But when something does happen, it can be framed in a way where
Yeah.
it adds that human element, and you can actually generate business off of that. For example, say I had a tip or some kind of business thing on how to do something on LinkedIn. Maybe I give them 3 tips, and I get like 50 people to comment. I'll go through the comments and I'll
Okay.
reply on the comments, and I'll say, you know what? I haven't talked to these 5 people. Seem to be very very good potential prospects, or at least on the networking
Mm.
arena. I said, let me do this. We're connected on LinkedIn. I'll send them a direct message. So
Yeah.
that's where you have the path of the
Good.
conversations on the social media post, and it goes to a DM, a LinkedIn DM, direct message. And
Yeah.
what should I say there? I said, you know what? This phone here has the ability to send a video and native video, or a voice message, or a text. I said, I'll just send a voice message. It's a little different, and it's very personalized.
Yeah.
It's my voice, and it's just saying that, hey, thank you for posting that comment on LinkedIn, speaking on that, A, B, and C. So love a chat. If you like, feel free to send me your booking link or just ask for mine. I appreciate it. Have an awesome week. That's it. It's literally 20-25 second conversation. You're not asking for anything, but you're continuing that conversation. And when people see that, they're like, what is this? So he actually
Mm.
took the time to personally
And
create a
just
voice message, and he's not selling anything, but he's talking about what we talked about. You know what? I'm curious about that because I was thinking along those lines. I like to talk to him about it. That's really how the
mm.
relationships work, and people don't understand those dots to connect.
But you talked about things that seem like really important. It's relationship. It's a little bit vague, in fact, and that's okay. Like, what do you do? Problems, and
Mhm.
you're forming relationships. But if somebody was thinking about work with you, can you kind of summarize your expertise, or what things do you
Oh,
offer?
yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't ever talk about myself, and I have the clients
Yeah.
ask about me. That's kind of how I do it. But I have 2 programs, right? One is called the LinkedIn
Okay.
Pilot Program. It's just if you need advice, and a lot of these people that need advice need a lot of work. So I get quite a bit of
Okay.
money on that little staple there, because, oh yeah, I have this. I need to target these 1,000 people that are very specific to my market, and I need to create a manual system or whatever and train my people. And it ends up I need my profile redone so it's more attractive, so I can increase my acceptance rate. I need my story written. So the LinkedIn Pilot Program is just like an hour a week of consultation, and I'll just give you blunt
Huh.
answers. And you can email me, and I can send back videos and stuff like that. So it's one-on-one time. I
Mm.
also give you a bunch of courses, LinkedIn courses, stuff for free, and it's email support, right? The second thing is my flagship. It's called the LinkedIn Accelerator Program. and that includes an entire system, a lot more consultation, hand holding, writing your messages, helping you with your targeting, figuring out your ideal brand in your message, in your tone, and how do you create a coherent system on and off of LinkedIn, because not
Gotcha.
everyone communicates on LinkedIn. So if you're able to connect with them and they don't respond to any messages, well, maybe they're email people. Figure a systematic way to reach them where they're used to being communicated with, and I give them good habits too. So I have a day-to-day process, and we figure out what day-to-day process works for them. Because the worst thing you want to do if you're running a business is be on LinkedIn all day. You got 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes or an hour tops. You want to get in, do the most good you can, and get out. You don't want to stay in there all day, unless you're a LinkedIn guy like me. Then yeah, you're gonna be on there quite a bit because that's where all the stuff's happening. But how do you create habits? And say my Monday habits are a little different than my Tuesday. So a lot of times Mondays, for me is dedicated for sending welcome videos. So if someone connects with me, instead of sending a boring message back to them or whatever, saying thanks for connecting, blah blah blah, and all this stuff, I send a personalized video, and I use my mobile app, right? And I move it to the side, and I have a little tripod and all that stuff, right? And I do a 30-second video, and I tell them, I just want to say thank you for connecting. I really appreciate it. I see you're doing A, B, and C, and I'll try to connect the dots for conversation purposes. And I said, I tell you what, if you have a moment, feel free to take a look at my profile. And if you see any dots to connect, send me your booking link, and I'll schedule some time with you. So I'm not asking for their meeting. I'm putting the onus on them. And they're like, yeah, I think I do want to talk about this guy, talk with this guy about whatever. If not, that's fine. What do you need your conversion rates to be anyway? I get about 15% conversion rate just on that message. And it's great using your mobile app because once you use your mobile app, the video is native. So they don't have to click and go outside. It looks like the system's working. Someone's asking a question.
I see that, yeah.
All right.
Know your expertise, so check your profile.
Yeah, I didn't know this thing worked on the Restream,
It's amazing when it works.
Yeah. If someone wants to know my experience, I think they will check my profile. I believe that's the reason Troy doesn't include anything personal or related in his experience. Exactly. Yeah. So I invite them to take a look if they have time, but you need to know that the conversation is appropriate. So your ask has to be appropriate to the relationship.
To that person.
So it's not appropriate for me to say, I want to have a meeting with you. But we just connected. It is appropriate to say thank you. And it is appropriate to say, if you have a moment, just take a look. And if you see any dots to connect, send me your booking link. And so it's a very soft approach, and it's a non-salesy way of just communicating. Thank you, LinkedIn user. You don't know who that is.
Yes. It's anonymous, buddy.
I don't even know how that works. Yeah.
So if somebody was speaking of that, what do you recommend, and how is it a good way to reach you and get a hold of you, other than you, of course?
Oh, yeah. So they can just book some time with me. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. Troy Hippolito, Hipolito, and search it on LinkedIn and send a connection invite and say, hey, saw you on the Doctor of Digital, podcast. Or they can go to my website and click on the big blue button. It's TroyAgency.com. So it's TheTroyAgency.com, and they click the blue button and they can just book 15 minutes and open for a chat.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been very easy to build relationships and be personal and be able to reach out. So I appreciate you taking some. I feel like, yeah, we got a relationship going here. But thanks a lot for being. That's it for the Doctor of Digital podcast for today. My special guest has been Troy from the Troy Show, LinkedIn guy. And you're right. He's got a great personality. So thanks for being on the show today. And that's it for today. Till next time, Deus Volt.
Okay, I'll go ahead and end the stream, and I'll give you a call.
Very good.